Hello, everyone. Greg Diamond here with another edition of Diamond's Edge. And this week, there's a lot to focus on. Jackson Hole, Federal Reserve Chairman Powell will obviously have a lot to say, or maybe it's a nothing burger, but the markets will be focused on that. In the meantime, we've obviously seen this huge reversal in stocks across the board, pretty much, and I'm excited because, as I've been pointing out to 10 stock trader subscribers, there are specific dates that I've been looking for, Gann time factors that are going to provide some great trading opportunities. So this week, I also want to point out price divergence between sectors and what I'm looking for, over the next, call it maybe 2 to 3 weeks. All right. So what I want to start with here is this is the transports. I'm going to look at price divergence between sectors. Now, if you are just starting out in technical analysis or you've been around for a while, you've probably heard of the Dow Theory. The Dow Theory goes back well over 100 years ago to Charles H. Dow, who proposed that, back then, the two major averages or indexes, the transports, Dow Jones Transportation Index, and the Dow Jones Industrials, need to be in line. So if you see new highs, that they both need to be expressing or showing that type of trend. Okay, and when they don't, you have this price divergence. It can be a warning. Now, you can see on this chart here, right here, this red is the high back in late 2021. We know what happened in 2022 with the bear market that we saw. Okay, so now we can see here back, the bottom here in September and October of 2022, and then the rally. Right now, if you compare this to semiconductors or the Nasdaq, it's not even close. The transports has not even taken shape relative to or kept up with the Nasdaq, and that is huge divergence. Well, you can sit there and say that the divergence doesn't matter because this just keeps rallying and then transports are doing nothing. But as I mentioned to 10 stock trader subscribers this morning, you have to understand how time plays into divergence. And I think a lot of analysts, that's where they get this wrong, is they say, oh, the divergence here, it's going to crash, it's going to crash. You have to understand how time needs to be incorporated into this divergence, okay? When you also look at Elliott wave theory and how the price behavior of investors also affects divergence. All right, so there's multiple things that you need to look for, not just, hey, this is divergence, therefore the market's going to crash. That's not how it works. All right, so and this is a good example. So again, here's the transports, and I have this red line here. This is September 9th, the week of September 9th. I'll be trading and reviewing how markets trade into the last week of August, specifically as a hot spot, and then after Labor Day, there's going to be fireworks. All right, so we're looking at this divergence. In terms of the transports, I'm not really concerned. Maybe we get this one last rush and it makes a new high. It doesn't really matter because the divergence is already there, and I'll show you what I mean. Right, so here's the Dow. And we can see here, okay, so back to the late 2021, 2022 high, right? The Dow has surpassed that, whereas the transports is still making a new low, or not making a new high, excuse me. All right. So as you can see here, I've marked again with this, it could be, here's another thing to think about. So when I talk about these time factors, you can see not everything is going to top out at the same time. There's a process. Usually you'll see it's either, the leading index like the Nasdaq or semiconductors continues to make a new high on the short term, and then the Dow doesn't and the transport doesn't, and a sector like the small caps, IWM, Russell 2000, those do not. So it doesn't mean that everything is going to top on the same day. That's not what I'm looking at here. But as a general guide, I'm looking around this time frame for, if the Dow starts to rally into this new high, we'll have a huge inflection point of time and price. So with the Dow rallying here, you can see here is into the resistance. This is on a weekly. You can dial down into the RSI. You can see we're getting some negative divergence here on the RSI and the composite index. All right, so other things are starting to come together. So between the Dow industrials and the transports, we're seeing the divergence that has been in play for a couple of years. Let's be honest. Transports hasn't made a new high since 2021, right? But understanding how time and price are incorporated into the Dow theory, that's where you can really begin to look for these important trading opportunities. And that's what I'm going to be looking for over the next couple of weeks. Keep an eye out on the Dow, keep an eye out on the transports and how we trade into both later this week, but especially late next week and then after Labor Day. And I'll obviously have more updates on that as we get into those. So Jackson Hole this week, we'll see how markets trade, but watch for the divergence over the next 2 to 3 weeks.